What's up guys, Derek Harris here. Headed to the track, gonna do some testing on the YZ250 that we put up on our channel for dyno work. So I've got my trusty coffee, we're headed out there. We're gonna go do a little bit of track testing with its owner and see if we can't make that bike a little bit better. We have a goal of today. My opinion is he should be going for more mid-range and then putting the bike in a gear taller all the time. That's what I did when I had my bike all built up and how I liked it. So we're gonna see how he rides, if we can make some adjustments to the existing setup with some ignition changes and anything else. I'll help him with his suspension and chassis a little bit. And then from there, we're gonna bring the bike back to the shop, see if we can make some tweaks and improvements based upon our track testing and go from there. All right guys, at the track today with this YZ250 recognized from our last dyno video. Ready to do some ripping out of your beautiful cycle ranch. The place looks awesome. Get the track back going. So here's Brandon. He's going to be riding today, and he used to be a really fast pro. He's taken quite a few years off and doing some training and whatnot. So Brandon, tell us a little bit about originally why you wanted to get more top end.
Well guys, I came back from riding. I took 10 years off. Coming back, I got on a Honda 450, and it was just way too much power. I lost the fun in the sport, so I ended up getting rid of that. Ended up getting a YZ250. It's bone stock. Had a few hours on when I got it, and I got really comfortable, really familiar with it. But as more I got familiar with it, I found that it just was flattening out from mid to top. I just couldn't get that power as needed. So I called Derek and I said, hey, what can we do here? We changed sprockets, and we went down. I ended up going down to a 48, and the stock I believe was 14. I kept it there. The 48 gave me the power that I needed to pull in second. Third was close, but it still wasn't enough. So I called Derek back and said, hey, we're just not that mid to top is not quite where it needs to be. So he said, bring the bike by, dropped it off, and he went through, and he'll be able to describe exactly more what he did. He did the cylinder work, the head work, I think power valve stuff, and then prior he did some carb work in here, some adjustments. And it gave it that power that it was needing, but now we're still back to kind of where we were at square one. The bike hits really hard. It's pulling strong, but we're losing that third gear power that I'm looking for, my more preferred. I like to be able to carry a lot more momentum and that 4-stroke power to where you can roll on the gas and it's there. Obviously on a 2-stroke, it's never gonna be perfect like that, but I want that third gear power to be able to roll it on a turn, get that explosion, get that drive out. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna work on. We're also gonna help you guys be able to understand your motorcycle more. And it's not just the mechanic, it's you. You have to be able to explain this back. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna just go through each step of the way, what he does, what I do on the motorcycle, to be able to give you guys an understanding on how you can make your bike more efficient on the track.
Yeah, so what we're gonna do today is see if I can move some power around with ignition changes and get a direction to where we think we can maybe get third gear through most of the turns instead of having to drop to second. And then that'll probably include, what I'm thinking when we take it back for some more testing is a different head setup. So I'm gonna try to put a little more mid-range in the bike. And then if I can figure anything out with some port changes here and there to maybe add a little more mid-range. So now we can maybe go up one tooth, get a little more mid while not losing the top that we did gain. I think that'd be a pretty nice little plan. It's gonna be tough, but that's the goal of trying to develop high-level motorcycles. All right. Let's go do some riding, man.
Yeah, and you guys gotta also understand, it's not something that's gonna happen overnight. There's gonna be days and days of testing and developing. So don't blame it on the bike, don't blame it on the mechanic or the trainer. You guys have to be able to understand your bike, because to make this bike what you want, you're gonna have to be familiar with it.
Exactly.
So, yeah, let's go do some riding.
All right, man. All right, man, nice moto. Well, I haven't seen you ride in quite a few years, so you look good, starting to come back at it. I noticed out there a couple times when we went through a couple corners, and what we did was I'd go over there and like kind of watch and see when you pull second or when you pull third, what the bike sounded like. Second was no problem and it rips, but it doesn't look like you have good modulation. Like it's like you're putting all the power down, and it's kind of slick today. This track's a sand track, it's always slick. So doesn't seem like we could get into third early enough without really lugging the clutch. What did you feel like?
Sure. That's exactly what I felt. Second pulls really strong, which that's what I wanted. But because it pulls so strong, it has so much torque, you get a lot of wheel spin. It's slick. So I felt maybe it was me at first. I'm like, okay, let's back it off, throttle control smooth. But even whenever I got halfway through the turn and I started to get to halfway through the power, it was just way too much torque for it. So, which would be good for more tighter, compacted tracks, rutted conditions. But for out here in your sandier, red sand conditions, we need to do something to be able to run this third gear, which you had some ideas that we'll go to. Gearing, perhaps we can go in and do something with the ignition. There's a couple things that we can do.
So what I think I'm going to do next is just first things first is we're going to put a 50 tooth up 2 teeth and see what that does if we can pull third almost everywhere. There'll probably be 2 or 3 corners where you can't, but I think that'll help us a lot. You had 1 or 2 corners where you had to shift right away.
Yeah.
And if we can just pull third, that's going to be better. So let's try that first, and then after that, we're going to play around with some ignition stuff. All right, Brandon, we just finished up, did a 50 tooth rear sprocket change. What did you think of that change?
Significant changes, just like we expected. It gave for more mid to top, and actually it gave us that bottom that we needed to be able to pull through the mid and top in third gear. 90% of the turn, I was able to carry third gear through it. Momentum was there, it was perfect. I could pull a quarter, 2 quarters of the straightaway in third and shift to fourth coming in third. I mean, it was amazing. You know, what I would do now is what we had to do is we had to now change suspension after that, because the way the motor was pulling, it was causing the bike to rear to squat a little bit more. So one thing that you have to recognize is when we do change the settings with the motors, it's going to change the way the bike handles too. So being aware of that, so making some changes. What we do, we went down to 100 or so on the sag.
We moved the sag a little less. It looked to me like it was low, and then I made a little bit stiffer on the shock, just a couple clicks, trying to hold the rear end up a little bit better. So you were able to get into third now and then modulate the power out of the corner how you wanted. You said right off the track, like, dude, motor's ripping.
I fist pumped. I don't know if you noticed over one of the tabletops, like the second lap, it was on point. It's right. I can't ask for much more really with just these tweaks. Maybe go in, like you said, there's a couple things you could do, ignition, motor stuff, to do another little setting. I don't know exactly what you called it, remember, but there's something that you could do to maybe give it a little bit more mid to top.
Yeah, I think we're going to go back in and shoot for just a little more mid, or like a little more what I'd call pulling power.
Sure. So
that it's just even easier to pull third. And then if that's the case, I think, because the bike looks like it hauls ass when you're full song. It looks like it rips.
Yeah, it's right. It's on point. And guys, this was too right off the bat. Derek went in and did what he needed to do, and we went out and just were changing the sprocket. So this is a great start, and for you guys to know, it's just very important that when you go out there, give it time to get the bike to understand. And so it's not going to happen this easy right off the bat always, but just knowing that, making these progressions and just feeling the bike and going with it. But yeah, I'm really happy with the changes that we made. I'm just excited to see if we can even get that much more out of it.
Yeah, so let's check the shock change out.
Awesome.
All right, man, you finished up that last moto, dude. You look like you were really ripping with the track super rough.
Bro, my confidence really came back. I had some good confidence going out there, but after we made the adjustments, motor, sprocket, the chassis setup now, we did the shock, right? We got the shock where we got sag to 100, which I think we should be at like 102 to 104, but that's just because we need to now stiffen up the build, right? The forks were feeling a little rigid, and it felt good through the fast, big bumps, but through some of the small choppy stuff coming in the turns and going down the hills, it was just really harsh.
Yeah, so I kind of picked your brain on that, and I was like, hey, is it on bump 1? Is it initial, or is it deep, big bumps? And you said, no, it's initial, it's right away on every bump. So we went 2 clicks softer, and that's what you got to communicate to your suspension guy is, if you just say, oh, it's beating me up, or it's stiff, well, that can mean a lot of things. It could be too soft and you're bottoming, or it's only on big bumps. If it's only on big bumps, you're probably soft. So here I had to ask you those questions, get that feedback, really pick your brain on it. I'm not trying to say, are you wrong? I'm trying to say, okay, What are we finding? And then you said, no, it's here. So we made those 2 clicks.
Sure.
That last moto looked like it was your best ride.
Oh, I agree. The track was rougher than it's been, and the bike tracked. Like I could just hit the turns and I could come in. I didn't feel like the back end was coming out or the front end was pushing. It just lined up wherever I looked, it went, and I was able to now
I was able to get on the power as I was coming into a turn instead of having to wait a quarter of way into the turn. The bike was just tracking.
Yeah.
And as you saw, Derek, I mean, it was horsepower, man. It was just pulling up the hills. It was almost a little too much, right? So
Yeah, I think we got a good motor setting. The sprocket and motor combination where we're at, with where the power's at.
I agree.
We really found it pretty good on this bike. So thanks for coming out and giving me the time to help you test, and I think we'll keep going from here.
Yeah, have a good one, guys.
Thanks.
Hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.